Hello, guys, and welcome here to Tinkle Sports Talk. Um, Something looks different, don't it? Jason can't quite see it because he's on Discord, but yeah, this is behind me. A nice, good old green screen right behind me. Don't get used to it, guys. Right now it's kind of shorting out my circuits, or it's not cooperating well with my circuits in my computer. So, might not stay. We'll see. Um, just trying some new things to try to look just a tad more professional. That's why I'm also dressed like a golf player. um, so, Jason, yeah, we're gonna work on this.
Yeah, I see. Now you're calling me out. Now I'm not as professional, and I mean, the only polo I had on was not the kind of polo I want to wear for this. I
Hey, it's okay.
would go upstairs and get an actual polo, but nah, that's too
Yeah,
much work right now. But
it's alright.
you know what's also too much work?
Mhm.
Probably for the Suns, if
Yeah,
I would
let's
have to
let's get
say.
into it. But actually, before I let you lead into it, let's tell the viewers what's coming up on the show here today. I'll start off with, or we're gonna start off today with obviously the NBA news. We also got some NFL news. An NFL player got arrested. No surprise, I guess. Maybe a surprise. This may be a surprise name. I'll just leave it at that. We're also going to talk the latest on boxing, some of the MLB news from the All-Star Game, and then, of course, we will wrap this up with Tinkle on this. That's all coming your way, but Jason, it's time for the NBA.
Yes. Now I tell you, man. I called this. I figured it would happen, but we've been seeing this a lot in the playoffs, and it's been a very big trend, and it's now happening in the finals. I don't know what's gone up with the Suns, but they let two games slip out of their hands as soon as they went to Milwaukee, as they took game four in a very strong fashion. I wouldn't really say strong, but like in a strong sense that Giannis actually got some help from Chris Middleton, who scored 40 points in this game. Um, Now, Brian, I tell you, with the Bucks taking the last two games, are the Bucks looking to end this on their home court in Game 6? As the Suns do have the home field advantage, but are the Bucks looking more destined to bring that championship home for the first time since 1974?
It's tough to tell right now. I mean, even though the Bucks won those two games, it was still really close. I mean, that block at the end of game 2 was really the deciding factor. Um,
Mm,
I wanna lean toward that, but the thing is, they got to go into Phoenix, and to be honest, they didn't play well in Phoenix. It was all Giannis. I think the pressure got to these guys. I'm hoping that homestand finally got the chemistry up. I hope it got the confidence up. That's what I was going for, the confidence.
mhm.
That's the main thing with playing at home. Good confidence. We preach it to our players as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But the problem is, obviously, they face an uphill battle still because they have to win a game in Phoenix to win the series.
Right.
Um, I think it, I just weigh what's more likely. What's more likely here? The Suns winning a game in Milwaukee or the Bucks winning a game in Phoenix? And isn't that still
Oh.
the Taco Bell thing going on too? If they steal a game on the road, people get free tacos.
I think they changed it up this year. I think they did it. I think it's like that, but I think it's kind of modified. And the thing is, like, if you're not big on spices, and I
Yeah.
know this is totally off topic. If you're not big into spices. Did you see what kind of taco it is this year? It's like one of the spiciest not
Mhm.
Doritos Locos tacos that they have currently. And I tell you what, it's almost not worth it.
Taco Bell. Look, we're professional now. Look at my background. We're legit. We're the real deal. But yeah. No, that I don't know. I haven't eaten Taco Bell in so long. I really try to stay away from fast food at this point. It's not
Yeah,
worth it. So,
definitely not.
but that's needless to say here.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens first. That's all I gotta say.
I want to say it's probably got to be more Phoenix getting a game in Milwaukee than Milwaukee getting a game in Phoenix. Of course, there's
Mm-hmm.
still possibly three more games left in this series.
Hmm.
It would not shock me if it goes all seven. I don't think we haven't gotten the series go to seven, I think, since 2016, if
Hmm.
I'm mistaken. So it'll be very intriguing to see. The finals as of late have been very, you know, great finals. Of course, now this is the first one
Hmm.
without LeBron in quite some time, which is good with me. You got to have two up and coming guys
Well,
going at it,
oh,
and
I gotta
Giannis
stop you
and
there. You forget LeBron's first year in LA, he didn't make the finals.
yeah, but it was still Steph. And this is the first
Oh, yeah.
this was like the first playoff or first finals that didn't include, I think, what was it? Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Steph Curry or something like that.
Hmm. There might be one
So
more, but I can't
since
think of it.
this is the first final since 2006 that didn't include those three, and that's insane to think
Hmm.
about.
Yes, absolutely. And rest in
Insane.
peace, Kobe.
Yes. Now I have a couple questions I put down here. Is Giannis finally getting help at the right time? Um, I think so.
He
I
got it
think
on
his
the
team.
home court.
I think
Um,
he's finally starting to get the teammates stepping up in the right time. But the question is, why did it take four? Why did it take three games to finally get the offense looking like it should have been, like it did in the regular season?
hmm.
Like Giannis shouldn't have to put up 40
Yeah,
points just to be able to make his team,
but
competitive.
and the same could have been said about LeBron his last year in Cleveland too. I mean, he shouldn't have had to put up 40 points a game and play 48 minutes just for his team to be in contention.
Right.
I think that's too much for any star in this game. This
Mm,
isn't the game from the 90s where you could play, you know, you could have one guy carry the team anymore.
right.
Um, you know, this is a totally different game. I can't stress that enough. That this game
Mm,
today is so different from 20 years ago, from 30 years ago, from 10 years ago. And I'd even argue and say 5 years ago. The game's evolved so much.
right. And then the other question I had too was, are the Suns in trouble, or will those two games in Phoenix be on their side?
I don't ever question Chris Paul's leadership. I think he's an incredible leader, or else they wouldn't have gotten as far as they did, to
Right.
be honest. So I got confidence that they can get it turned around at home. I just again, what kind of confidence is the Bucks gonna come in with? Because I think it's gonna be a dogfight in Phoenix.
Yeah, I think so too. I just, I think two is going to outweigh one all day. But if Milwaukee wants it more, they got to get it done in game five because game six, I mean, regardless, game six, if not seven, is going to be a
Hmm.
dogfight. But like, say, let's
Well, it
just say
always
if,
is.
let's just
It's
say the Bucks do win Game 5.
Hmm.
Game 6, I hope they don't come into that mindset of going into that game, being on their home court, thinking, okay, you know what? We beat them already on our home court. I think we
Hmm.
got this. Don't ever have that mindset, because if you have that mindset, you're going to get your butt spanked. You're going to get you're literally going to get like booted
Hmm.
badly.
Yeah.
But as far as that, this has been a very ongoing rumor. The Pacers have also already tried to go for a trade, but 76ers have now expressed ideas of trading away Ben Simmons, but at a very high
Hmm.
cost. They want an all-star in return for their all-star.
What happened to trust the process?
I guess it's no longer there.
That ship sailed just like their finals hopes.
Oh
Oh man.
gosh, I tell you, this team is just a disaster piece, and I hope Doc Rivers finds it out before he gets fired again.
I don't like this, you know. That's all I need to say here. You know, I think Ben Simmons has proven he's gonna be a star. I just don't think it's going to be in Philadelphia. He's a guy I think that could benefit from a change of scenery.
Mhm.
Um, you know, we'll see where that leads him. Maybe it's with another All-Star in the future. But the
Right.
fact that they want an All-Star for him, I can't justify it right now. I just can't sit here and say it's justifiable. I mean, he hasn't been really the guy.
I hate to say it, with a guy like Ben Simmons has struggled from the free throw line and also struggled from the 3-point line. There's not many options
Hmm.
that you can do with him on the offensive floor other than
See?
having him as a guy that's
Hmm.
going to be mainly a in the paint kind of player.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, Ben Simmons, I think is playing in the wrong position.
I think.
I if I remember correctly, I think the 76ers are playing him as a guard when he's supposed to
Yeah.
really be a forward.
See, I can argue that too, but I mean, it's not just that. It's the fact of the matter that if you're playing a guard position, you're expected to be a good 3-point shooter. You're
Right.
expected to be a good free throw shooter.
Yeah.
I think that's the way this NBA has turned in the and again, I go back to evolving. The game is
Hmm.
evolving. This is old school style basketball at its finest, is what Ben Simmons is showing. Take it to the rack, and that's great. But this doesn't work in today's NBA. This works. If he did this in street basketball, he'd win 21 zip every single time.
Right.
There'd be no question there. This is not NBA basketball. Maybe this would work overseas as well,
Hmm.
but he needs to either find if he's going to get traded, he needs to either go to a team that has an old school coach who's stuck in his ways, or he needs to probably, and I hate to say it, he's probably going to have to go overseas and play to where he'd be effective and work his way back into the NBA.
Right. Kind of like a Jeremy Lin type of
Yeah.
player or something like that. Type of situation.
See, but
Now,
Linsanity was a one-hit wonder. Okay, come on,
that's very true.
that's a different story. Okay, he really, I mean, he adjusted the game. He just wasn't all-star material. He was hyped up because look what he had around him.
Right.
But yeah,
No,
um,
I think also Ben Simmons really hasn't showed that he's willing to improve his game much ever since he's been in the NBA. Well, well, Jason, you can argue that, he's also been hurt towards the beginning. Yeah, I understand he's been hurt towards the beginning of his career, but you gotta still
hmm.
make an effort to
See,
improve every year.
but you
Yes,
can't come in
he's all
acting like you
star,
know it all.
right? I get it. He's been an all-star. Um, he's taken the 76ers from dumpster fire to making the playoffs every year. I get that. But the thing is,
Hmm.
Ben Simmons, I need to see more out of Ben Simmons before I think, oh yeah, he's definitely worth trading away an all-star for him. He's more so like worth maybe a late round round draft pick for him at this point because he's just that shitty. And excuse my
Hmm.
language, but he just
It's fine. It's fine.
he isn't showing that he's willing to improve his game. And in an NBA where it's more so playing outside in than inside out,
Yeah.
you gotta show that you're willing to improve your game. And that starts with making your free
Hmm.
throws and occasionally being better from the 3-point arc. Because when players are consistent from both, is when you see them going very far in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
And here's the thing, he has to want to get better. That's the big thing.
Exactly.
I think that's the big key point here. Okay, if he doesn't want to get better, this is a coach's nightmare. Okay, you
Hmm.
can't come in here and being like, I know it all. Okay, and again, I go back to youth sports, but we have enough parents out there in youth sports that think, oh, my kid's just fine. He doesn't need to get any better. You know, that's the thing. It starts with preaching that you do nothing perfect. Okay, strive to
Hmm.
improve, and he needs to. I think he's going to have to come to this realization very quick, or he's going to be the reason that the team he's with now, or the team he's with down the road, falls from grace.
Right.
So, um,
Now, speaking of an actual all-star, now I tell you, this team, this team has just shaken my head. Now they have shown interest in wanting to trade after Damian Lillard. God help us all if that happens. Um, now,
they won't.
if he joins, are they the favorites to win it all in 2022?
What's it going to cost him, Clay Thompson?
That's what I
Because
was
that's
thinking
what's.
too, but he's been hurt the last 3 years.
I can tell you, I think it's going to cost him Clay Thompson and Draymond Green. It's going to cost him a combination of the both of them. Um, I don't. I think they're desperate to get back to where they were. Is
Yeah.
what I think it is. Let's face it, they're nothing without Kevin Durant. Okay,
Hmm.
there's no denying it. There's nothing. They're nothing. And don't give me the they were hurt the last few years. Well, if Steph Curry is the best player in the NBA, and keep in mind he was voted that in the ESPYS last weekend,
Right.
then he should be able to do it, and it should be the next man up. I mean, look, LeBron had crappy teams, and he still led his teams to the playoffs. Hell, he led a team to the finals, a team that had no business getting out of the first round. So, I
I
mean,
know.
don't give me that. They need help. Don't give me that. Basically, they're desperate.
They are very desperate. If they want to go after Damian Lillard, which I would assume they would turn him into the next great. Oh well, these are going to be the next great Splash Brothers combination. Oh,
No.
no. I hate to say it. If you're the Warriors, give the try to. I understand
Mhm.
Clay has been there for them and he has been hurt, but you gotta be willing to see what kind of Clay Thompson you're getting. I know he's not gonna be 100% right away
Mhm.
when he comes back, as he's missed the last 2 years with the Achilles and also the torn ACL. But the thing is, if you're the Warriors organization, I want to see what I'm gonna get out of Clay Thompson before I decide. Okay, you know what? Maybe it's best to, you know, kind of re
Mhm.
rebuild and start from scratch all over again, but have Clay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph
Mhm.
Curry as my main pieces, and then kind of build around them, which I guess wouldn't hurt. But what do you, if they somehow, like, say if they somehow keep Clay, they somehow keep Draymond, they somehow keep Steph, and then somehow miraculously get Damian Lillard, which I know is not going to be the case, but like, see if they miraculously have all four of them on the team. That's just way too much star power on the Warriors. But the thing is, then you have three guards, one forward. Who's gonna be that other forward? Who's gonna be that center? Like you gotta figure it out. Like you literally
Mhm.
have to give up a lot of pieces that have made this Warriors team the way that they were, 5 straight finals appearances there. Yes, I know, Kevin Durant was there, but for two of them, he was not.
Do you know what? And I love the one thing that this proves every single day is, keep in mind, Draymond told Kevin Durant, we won without you, we can still win without you. I bet you're eating those words every single day.
Oh, I know.
That's all I got to say. They're just desperate because they know Steve Kerr can't coach without a super team. Okay. I mean, and here's the thing, and keep in mind, I've always praised Steve Kerr. And I actually wanted him to be the Team USA coach. By the way, Team USA not looking so hot right now. But, of course, that's a different story. Like I said, I think they got a lot to figure out. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess I'll leave it off on this last statement. Steve Kerr has also played on a lot of the super teams in the 90s, too. I hate to say it.
Steve Kerr, if you've seen that meme where everyone else is doing the work and he's just sitting there in the wagon or whatever, I hope I'm speaking on the right meme. I'm not a memeologist. All right. Yeah. So next is some big news on 2K22, right?
Oh, yeah. Candace Parker is the first female basketball player to be on the cover of NBA 2K22. I mean, that's definitely huge news, but the thing that sucks is it's only for the WNBA version because of the 25th anniversary. So I don't know if it's going to be
It's still a step forward.
I don't know if it's going to be like an every year type of thing, but that's still huge. She is definitely revolutionized basketball for female players. She's a big inspiration. She even said, I hope this is a big inspiration for females of basketball to want to get into the sport, because like it took me so long to get to this point in my career to get onto the cover, and it even made Shaq emotional, and it had every right to make him emotional.
That's also
when she
Shaq's
said,
colleague.
right, exactly.
Over at TNT. But this is the problem. It's a catch-22 with the WNBA, right? I mean, they need more exposure. And on top of it, the demand for a WNBA game is low because they don't have the exposure.
But the thing is that the NBA games,
that's what they need to lure people in.
I know, and I hate to say it, but like WNBA technically is part of the NBA games, so it's not like you
kind of get it. It's implied that you get it, but I mean, if this is a separate game, it's just a catch-22 because they need the game, but at the same time, they need the exposure, and they're not gonna sell very well if they don't have the exposure. If you see
I know,
what I'm
unfortunate.
and it's unfortunate, but it's a great step forward for Candace Parker, and especially for women in basketball, and I'm glad to see it because they do deserve the exposure. So
I know, I agree. I guess I didn't really want to talk about this too much, but yes, Luka is on the regular edition, and then Kareem, Dirk, and KD are on a 75th anniversary edition of the game. Hard to believe that NBA has been around for now 75 years.
Here's the thing.
Mind-blowing.
I'm not saying Dirk doesn't deserve to be on there. I'm not saying, but KD, what has he done? He had to go to a super team to get a ring,
And then he forms another one, and then they get taken out by the Bucks.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know. I think if you were going to do a 75th anniversary, you should have 4 of the best players regarded, 4 of the GOATs in NBA. And, as much as I like Dirk, I mean, I don't think he's a top 4 player. I mean,
Right.
I think that's a hard pressed argument you can make, and I'm not saying that he's not a great player. I'm just saying look at the others that were ahead of him.
You know what I would have liked if they did for that 75th anniversary? They should have done like a then, now, and like the
Mhm.
future.
Yeah.
So like a player from like back then, like say like a Kareem,
Mhm.
a player of like now, say like I don't know, the best of now, do
Yeah.
like a like LeBron or something like
Yeah.
that. You know,
Come on.
best player of now, and then the best player of the future,
Mhm.
say like I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of Steph, but like say like
Yeah.
Steph or something like that. I don't know. Or
No,
maybe
like
not for the future, but like a player like maybe
mm.
Luca or Trey Young. There we go. You
Oh
know,
yeah. No, I would agree with that. I just
that would have been
again,
super cool. I
um,
think that would have made the most sense
you
for the
know,
75th anniversary edition.
I'm not snubbing the cover by any means. I think it's a great cover, but again, for a 75th anniversary, you'd think you'd have like MJ, Shaq, Kobe, and LeBron on there, maybe in some
Yeah,
form.
I would
Because
have
I
gone
mean,
with that.
arguably, I mean, you know, you guys can all hate on LeBron, but you gotta admit that he is one of the greatest players in the history of the game.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying,
especially
and
when
again,
he was in the finals for 8 straight
yeah,
years. It doesn't take just
mhm,
talent around you and to get there. It takes freaking skill
yeah,
to get there
um,
8 straight years.
oh yeah, um, but yeah. So again, nice cover. Congrats to Candace Parker. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I could think of right there. But shall we lead in the NBA now?
You
Let's
mean
get
NFL?
or NFL. Oh my goodness, I got my leagues
No, you're fine.
confused. So anyway, Richard Sherman was arrested a few mornings ago. I didn't really want to talk about this, but the more details keep coming out, and I think it's important to bring up. Of course, he was putting no one in danger, but he was arrested on a domestic violence charge. He
Mm.
never touched his wife, he never touched his kids, but supposedly he was really drunk and was threatening to kill himself and mainly harm himself. Um, you know, I don't want to question CTE because obviously, you know,
Right.
for
That's a
obvious
touchy,
reasons.
yeah, it's a touchy subject that we do not like to
But
talk about on Tinkle Sports.
yeah, it needs to be talked about, but this is not the time nor the place to self diagnose because we're not sports medicine people.
Right.
But, um, you know, I guess I have to start off by asking, is this the end for Richard Sherman?
Definitely. And I hate to say it, I think he should have retired
Mm-hmm.
like a few seasons ago. He has not been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, he helped the 49ers get to a Super Bowl appearance when he was there. Don't get me wrong. When he's out there on the field, he's still a decent corner, but now, now, yeah, he's definitely done. No, no, every team's gonna look at them like, do we really want a 33-year-old drunk? No, heck no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I, that's all I'm gonna say it is. Like, I'm not gonna go any further with that. Like, you don't know what could have led
Mm-hmm.
him to going that far. There's a lot
See,
that could. Um, but as far as that, yeah, I hate to say it, I think Richard Sherman's career has officially been over with, and I don't think he's gonna get picked up by another team ever again. I hate to say
I
it.
don't see it. But to be honest, I didn't. Yeah, if he was gonna get picked up, I thought for sure, oh, it's gonna be mid-season. I think that was a safe guess. Um, you
Like
know,
for a
but
team that
now
would probably need him.
now I don't see it happening. As far as you know, I guess this leads into the next question. If he is picked up, is there any suspensions or fines that might play factor here?
I think a 6-game suspension, if anything, because the NFL definitely takes domestic abuse
Hmm.
seriously.
But I
If he probably would
yeah.
have been even out, like, who knows, like
Hmm.
10 games, if not the whole entire season. But who knows?
Yeah, I can see maybe a few games, but again, I think there's a lot more details that need to come out. I
Hmm.
think, if it's just at the end of the day, if he just harmed himself, I think he's got to go to counseling or something. They may make him before he goes back to the field. I think, again, I can't stress enough, and I think I speak for myself and for Zach Carmian and many others on here, our other Tinkle Sports colleagues and entertainment colleagues. By the way, we're now Tinkle Sports and Entertainment.
Hmm.
But, that mental health is a big concern. And I think, if Richard Sherman, for a lack of a better way to put it, and I hope I'm not being insensitive by saying it, when he's not all there, it's not going to benefit anybody.
No.
Okay? It's not going to benefit his team. And, maybe, hopefully he does get picked up, but I could see maybe a fine come out of this because, he did do this. He traumatized, his family by doing this.
Hmm.
But if he didn't lay a hand on his wife, he didn't lay a hand on his children, and he didn't lay a hand on his in-laws or anybody else in the vicinity, I don't think this warrants a suspension. But again, they're still investigating. If it does come out, yes, I can see at least a 6-game suspension coming his way.
Right.
So with that, here's the next story. Of course, Patrick Mahomes was heckled by a fan at the Celebrity Invitational last weekend. Of course, this actually happened right before we went live. I just noticed it the other day, though, so that's why we're talking about it today. So Patrick Mahomes was told, "Watch out for Justin Herbert," to which Patrick Mahomes responded, "I'll believe it when I see it." You know, before I go on my tirade, because I'm a Chargers fan, I got stuff to say. But Jason, what are your thoughts here on this?
I don't think you have any room to speak when you got your ass whooped in the frickin' Super Bowl, but that's how I'm going to leave it as.
You took exactly what I said on Instagram and on Facebook the same day. So, oh man. Yeah. So actually, let me just pull this up real quick. But yeah, so let me just start off by saying, didn't Justin Herbert set all the rookie records for touchdowns and passing yards and whatnot?
Yeah, he had like 40 touchdowns or something like that. I said 30, but I looked at it. He
Yeah.
actually had a lot more in his rookie year than I thought
Okay.
he did.
So, let me just start off by saying this. So Justin Herbert's first career start, he, of course, didn't know until literally the ball was kicked off that he was the starter because of Tyrod Taylor's lung injury from the team doctor. They almost won that game, and I know almost counts for nothing except horseshoes and hand grenades. But let's put it this way. They went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs blew everybody out in that division as far as the records go. It was nowhere close for a divisional battle. And they went toe-to-toe with them. Week 17, they go toe-to-toe again. Actually, correction, the Chargers obliterated them, if I'm not
Yeah, because
mistaken.
Mahomes wasn't playing.
And again, it's a valid point by Chiefs fans, but let's be fair. I think even if the starters played, look at the confidence, look at the morale of the team entering Week 17 for the Chargers. Look at the morale, because I think that's more telling than anything else about how
Mhm.
this game could have gone, because we were riding high. I think we won like 4 or 5 straight games to end the season just to bring it to 7-9.
Right.
You know, all I'm going to say is I think Herbert's proven it. And I think had he started the first game of the year, he would have proved it even more of why, Mahomes should be worried. But, hey, enough of the light feel-good stuff. Let me just point this out. For the man who's supposed to be the alleged best quarterback in football, he sure has a big mouth on him. Okay? 26 of 49, 270 yards, and 2 picks in the Super Bowl. Okay? If you're supposed to be the alleged best in football, shouldn't you be going toe-to-toe with the GOAT of football in Tom Brady? Shouldn't you be able to beat him in the playoffs? What's your record against him, Patrick? Okay, let me just start off by asking that. What's your record against him in the playoffs? Because if I remember correctly, that's a goose egg. Okay, you haven't won shit against Tom Brady. Okay, you haven't won shit against the GOAT in football. You got taken toe-to-toe by a rookie who didn't even know he was starting until 2 minutes before the game in week 2. Okay? So, as far as I'm concerned, and not to mention, your team didn't even score a touchdown in that Super Bowl for allegedly the best offense in football. Okay? You want to know what I got to say to that? Okay, Patrick Mahomes? To those who say you're the better quarterback than Brady and the fact that you can beat him, how's about this for size? I'll believe it when I see it. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sounds like the biggest hypocrite
So
ever.
until then, and I hope I might post this to Instagram and tag Patrick Mahomes, but until then, sit down and shut the literal fuck up until you actually prove that you're the GOAT, which you'll never prove because you lost to the greatest of all time.
And who's to say and who's to say that will not happen? That couldn't happen again this year.
Yeah. So, just thought I'd put that out there, because you being the GOAT, I'll believe it when I see it. And that'll be never. So, that's all I'm going to leave it off on.
All right.
Yeah, it sure hurts when your words are thrown right back at you. But anyway, with that, let's take our anchor break. When we come back, we'll talk some fighting, some big news in boxing. We also got the MLB All-Star Game and Home Run Derby recap. And then, of course, we'll wrap things up with Tinkle on this. And we got a little bit of news on fantasy football, which we announced last week. So if you want any info on fantasy football, you might want to stay tuned. Until then, we'll be right back in just about a minute. All right, welcome back. The computer didn't die, so we still got some more show to go, obviously. So let's not waste any time here. Let's dive right into the fighting news. So Jake Paul was on Undisputed this week with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, and he didn't spare feelings when he was talking about Conor McGregor, and he said, "I want to fight winners." Conor McGregor's on a downhill trajectory, so I don't know if I want to fight losers. Obviously I got some thoughts, but Jason, I guess, is that McGregor fight still on the table? Is the first question.
I mean, I guess it can't be. He's not technically wrong about Conor McGregor. Ever since, kind of getting back after his big whole charade. I don't know if you remember when he threw that chair into a oncoming bus and got arrested. But ever since he's come back to the UFC after that moment, he has been on a big downward slope. So he's got a point there. But as far as a fight on the table, yeah, because you know what? It spells money. And what does both of these guys want? They want a heck of a load, a big, paycheck, and a big payday. And this spells big money fight.
And this fight has the capabilities of possibly being the greatest boxing pay-per-view of all time. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
I hate to say it, because Jake Paul would actually be going after a guy that's trained in kickboxing and boxing. So that's why it would feel more
Yeah.
like an actual
Oh yeah.
fight. Speaking of anything USC, he actually is challenging Tyron Woodley, a former welterweight. Yeah, if I remember
You
correctly,
know,
let me check this out. Welterweight
yeah, he's an MMA
champion
fighter though. That's one thing that should be noted. He's an MMA fighter.
with a wrestling background, which means he's not a
Hmm.
stand-up kind of guy. He's somebody that wants to take you down and get you in a submission or
It's
ground and pound. When it comes to fighting on his feet,
you know,
he sucks.
I
So
shake my head at this because I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just shake my head at this. He says he wants to fight winners, but he's fighting guys that he's gonna win against because they don't know the discipline.
because
You
he does
know,
it on purpose, he knows that
because
he's not that great a fighter.
his poor fragile ego would be hurt if he lost a fight.
Well, also, if he lost a fight, his fan base would probably not like him anymore too, but that
No,
also goes hand in hand with his ego.
his fan base is like some people following politics, and I'm not gonna name names because it's everywhere. But they're so blind that they would think the bird would literally Jake Paul would shit in the ring and they'd call him the winner regardless. Okay. He'd throw one punch and they'd be strutting around saying, "Oh, well, we won the fight." Okay. I'm not, and again, I just want to address this. I'm not targeting any particular political party. I'm just
Mhm.
saying it's on both sides. They're strutting around like they won.
Right.
So, just thought I'd point that out there before I get Trumpers and anti-Trumpers, Biden and anti-Biden coming after me. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I just don't like this. I think this is, it's just so hypocritical of Jake Paul. Fight a real fighter. Fight a real boxer that's actually still in his prime and come back.
Yeah, we don't want you to fight, Manny Pacquiao or something like,
No, don't fight
Mc-
people who haven't fought in 4 or
Mayweather.
5 years. Well, Mayweather might be a challenge for him. Okay,
Yeah, but if he can stand
Mayweather's
toe to toe with
ageless.
Logan Paul because he just doesn't care, who's to say that the same thing's not going to go on when he fights his
You want to
brother
know?
Jake?
You want to know why that happened? It's because there was no records on the line. There was not much. I mean, there was money on the line, but still, it's because there was no records at stake. If there was a record at stake, someone would have gotten knocked out.
And I think that if they were to fight, that the record there would definitely be record at stake. Jake Paul would be like, no, I want there to be a record at stake. I want to be able to,
Hmm.
finally end his undefeated streak.
Yep.
So of course Jake Paul wouldn't be stupid and say, no, this ain't gonna be no exhibition fight. This is
Hmm.
gonna be a real fight that counts against the record.
Yeah.
So
So, all I'm gonna say is until he fights someone real, like I said about Patrick Mahomes before the break, sit down and shut the fuck up. Okay?
exactly.
That's all I'm gonna say. Um, anyway, I think that's all we got for fighting. So let's move forward here. So the AL has won the All-Star Game. I believe it's their 9th or 10th straight victory in the All-Star Game. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays was named the MVP. This could be telling. I'm just gonna tell you, this can be telling of the MVP race at the end of the season in the American League. He blasted a home run that very well could have split the baseball in half.
That's
So,
insane.
yeah, drug test the man. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's not on anything that we know of. But I guess, can we expect the same in MVP voting, or is Otani the guy still?
I think it's gonna come down to who's the better man at the end of the season,
Mhm.
which is tough to tell. He might be still going to be the same to expect once, it's all said and done, but there's still a lot of the season left to go. Yes, they do the All-Star game in the middle of the season just like the NBA. So, who knows? If we know anything about the second half of any season, usually that's when the best, play happens is after the All-Star break. So,
We'll see.
I think we're going to see a lot more out of those two guys than you think that we saw in the first half of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And the other question here, so let me pull up the MLB standings, of course. I believe it's an off day for the league, by the way. So currently the Red Sox are leading by 1.5 games. Chicago is leading. The White Sox are leading by 8 games over the Cleveland Baseball Club.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, can't be racist here. Then, of course, the Houston Astros up 3.5 on the Oakland Athletics. By the way, about the Red Sox, they're 1.5 ahead of the Tampa Bay Rays. And then the Blue Jays and the Yankees are tied 8 games back. You got the Mets that are up 3.5 games on the Phillies, but that division, everyone is within 9 games of each other. The AL Central or NL Central, the Brewers leading the Reds by 4 games, the Cubs by 8. Then, of course, you got the San Francisco Giants and the Dodgers 2 games apart, with the Padres 6 games back still in this division. Anybody stand out as someone that can maybe stand out in the second half of the season? Or, anyone that you think is the odds-on favorite early, or as we enter the second half?
Probably the Cubs and the Mets.
Okay.
Honestly, because the Mets, Jacob deGrom has been very lights out as a pitcher, and then the Cubs, like we said it on here before, that wasn't it like all 4 of their pitchers like went off in that one game of theirs.
Yeah, they had the combined no-hitter.
Right. So I hate to say it, I think that they are the 2 odds-on favorites. And it'd be super cool to see a New York team like the Mets, other than the Yankees, actually doing well.
A team that doesn't buy their championships.
Exactly. And then Chicago, it'd be cool to see them back to the the stronghold since 2016, since they've actually been there and won it. So, those 2 teams they're in the same conference, right? The NL.
Yeah, they're both in the NL right now.
It wouldn't shock me if they end up fighting for a spot in the World Series.
I wouldn't put it past them, but again, the Cubs got a little bit of work to do. They're 8 games back. It's not an easy feat. I look on up the board here, the Twins, they're 15 games back. They're probably out of this thing because Buxton's hurt. And the other thing that we got to look forward to is 16 days from now, we have the MLB trade deadline. That could change up a lot of things. But ultimately, I think for the AL, it's going to come down to either the Red Sox or the Rays. I think both teams have shown that they can be there. The Rays are having lights-out pitching. They have lights-out hitting. The Red Sox are just rejuvenated this year. I don't know what got into them, but they're up there. I want to throw in a dark horse, though, on the AL side. I think the the Toronto Blue Jays, could make a run at the Buffalo Blue Jays.
Only for one more year.
Okay. No, once Buffalo, always Buffalo, okay? The true New York team, the Buffalo Blue Jays, will have a shot at this, I think. They are the dark horse. But I think regardless, and I'm willing to make this bold prediction, whoever comes out of the AL is going to come from the AL East. I'm willing to put that down, take it to Vegas. I think one of those teams will come out with it. On the NL side, the Mets look good, but again, it's a tight race in that division. I can't really put a guarantee on anything. I think the Brewers are pretending. The NL's a little tougher to predict, but I think I would lean toward whoever comes out of the NL West, whether it's the Dodgers or the Giants, because they've both been there. I'm not buying San Diego yet. So,
Yeah, the Giants haven't been there in a while, and Dodgers have actually was there just recently.
hmm.
So I'm not mistaken, they won in 2019.
Dodgers,
Yeah.
they won it last year,
Okay.
so they're the defending champs.
So
Um,
I mean, I guess it wouldn't shock me to see them repeat,
mhm.
but I don't know.
I think it's so much harder to repeat in baseball than it is to repeat in any other sport, just because you have 162 games and then you have a long playoff with only
Right.
4 teams. Keep in mind, if 4 out of 30 teams that you're or 4 out of the 15 teams in your conference, the best four, I think that's a lot harder because you essentially skip a step going to the
Right.
next round. So, you know, I I want to see what happens ultimately. But with that, of course, the next step here is he actually skipped a step here. So Pete Alonso, he won his second home run derby. Shohei Ohtani went out in the first round as the number 1 seed. So Pete Alonso 2-0 in the MLB home run derby. This is pretty surprising because I labeled Ohtani as the favorite. And hey, sometimes the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
That's true.
But
Sometimes it's that dark horse that just comes out of nowhere and wins it.
yeah. I mean, it's not shocking considering he's done it, but I think hitting a home run in the home run derby is so far different from hitting one in a game because you're actually getting pitches thrown to you that you're supposed to hit for home runs. It's not where it's just coincidental that it landed in the sweet spot.
Right.
So
It's almost like you gotta hit hit almost every single thing that's thrown at your way.
pretty much. So I guess at the end of the day it's a little different. But anyway, let's move forward here. Let's get to Tinkle on this, our favorite segment of the week. So, of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they won the Stanley Cup. I'm still waiting on my Stanley Cup gear. Come on, NHL fanatics, give me my gear.
Don't you already have enough gear?
Never ever do I have enough gear. Okay. Let me put it this way. Okay, Jason, let me put it this way to you. Women have their shoes. Some women have their shoes. Okay? Certain people have their own collections. Now, I'm not saying this is a collection. But, and I'm not being sexist, but some women have their shoes. Some men have their shoes. And I have my team shirts. Okay? So don't judge. Alright. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, had their boat parade a few days ago. Nikita Kucherov showed up to the parade with some beer. He got on a boat. He was not drunk like Tom Brady, I don't think. Or else he handles his liquor better. That, I think, is a possibility, considering Brady doesn't drink. But Kucherov, of course, has been hearing all year about how his salary made the team $18 million over the cap, and it didn't count because of his injury. So, responding to the haters, Kucherov wore a shirt that said 18 mil over the cap, and enjoyed a nice beer as he gave the final FU to the NHL fans who said that it was cheating. And with that, I say to all the Tampa Bay haters, don't hate the player, hate the
Hate the
game. Okay? No one broke any rules. Okay? That's been a rule for years. Okay? If you want it changed, maybe it will at the next collective bargaining agreement. But until that happens, tinkle on this, all you haters.
Yes, exactly.
So that's all I got to say to that. Anyway, that's all we've got for this week, but we do have one more thing. Of course, we promised last show that up until we go on our summer break, we're going to have some updates on our fantasy football league. Last week, we announced that the draft will be August 21st at 8 p.m., and it will be exclusively streamed on the Tinkle Sports YouTube. So now we can look forward here. So currently it's just Jason and I signed up. So if anybody wants to sign up, now's the time to do it. Of course, I know we're still a month out, but come on, guys, join. Join our Discord so you can get the link.
Yes, please.
So let's start off by actually talking about the rosters here. So, of course, it's going to be kind of a strict league, of course. We want to be sure that it's competitive and that it's fair. So,
Right.
what I did was, obviously, you're going to get a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're allowed to draft 3 quarterbacks, basically. You're allowed to have 3 quarterbacks on your roster max. Then, of course, you're going to have the 2 running back positions. You can draft 5. Same with the wide receivers. It might change, who knows. But of course, you only need 2 to start. You're going to have the tight end. Then, of course, we added a flex position, and the flexes you can use basically any position for that. But here's the one thing that stands out as I scroll on down. So we have the defense, the special teams, which you can keep 2 on the roster. We eliminated the kicker. So the kicker is not the guy this year. So what we did instead was you have to draft a head coach. I think
Crazy.
this adds to a whole different excitement to the game. And of course, we'll break down the points probably in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then, of course, you'll have 2 injured reserve slots if someone gets the designation to return. But there's no keepers. And another thing I want to stress, I'm actually going to give a little bonus info here. So the draft, let me go into the draft page here. So the draft, it's a snake draft.
Yeah.
Snake draft, 2 minutes for the pick. I am going to be setting the as the league manager, I'm going to be setting the lineup for the draft at random by random.org. All teams will be allowed to trade their draft pick, but they have to notify me 48 hours in advance. So before the draft, or by no later than then. So again, we're still looking for people, so if you're interested, join our Discord. I believe it's on the link of our last episode, the Tinkle Sports Live. So please be sure to do it if you want to be a part of it. Reach out to myself or Zach or Jason, anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I think we actually have we're going to have a really cool way of actually doing it on YouTube, which Mr. Carmine actually showed us the other day.
It should be very interesting.
Of course, I don't want to spoil it, but you're going to have to see it for you guys yourselves when you join our Discord.
Yeah, you'll have to see. Actually, that's a good detail you remembered there. I almost forgot about that. But, be sure to join it. Join our Discord, get the link, join our league. All of our notifications for the league are going to go through Discord, by the way. So we will not be posting league updates in the page for the league on ESPN. It's going to be over on Discord. If any notifications, so any updates, any news, any of that. So even more reason to join. Otherwise, you're going to be out of the loop. So be sure to join. Unless you're all scared of
Yeah, unless
getting
you know that you're not gonna win against us.
exactly. But with that, we want to say thank you all for watching. I might have to turn this all off before my computer fries. I don't want to do that. At least the monitor. It's just the monitor that was acting up. But since I've been recording, it's been fine. So, but needless to say, it's time to get off. So with that, guys, we say we will see you next Sunday.